the series written by Brendan Sanderson. I'm not sure if this is going to my scheduled live stream. I'm pretty new at doing live streams, so I'm hoping so. But I just kind of followed what I saw on online on how to do it from my mobile device. I do have a webcam on Amazon to buy an actual webcam to do this a lot better on my wish list. Hopefully, I'll get that pretty soon. But for now, I'm just doing it on my mobile device because I don't really have a webcam on my gaming computer. But yeah, just going to talk about Mistborn the Final Empire and Mistborn the Well of Ascension. When it comes to this series, it's excellent. The first two entries in Brendan Sanderson's epic fantasy saga, Mistborn the Final Empire and the Well of Ascension, are a study in contrast. One thrilling heist, the other a nail biting siege. Now, when you read them together, they form a sprawling, intellectual, and surprisingly witty commentary on the predictable beats of fantasy novels that came before them. Now, when it comes to the to the pitch with this book, the pitch is very much what if the hero failed? Now, the premise of this is a delightful subversion. 1,000 years ago, the prophesied hero of ages was supposed to save the world, but instead, he made everything much worse. The sun is a sickly red disk, ashes are constantly raining from the sky, foliage is brown, and the perpetual mist shrouded tyrant called the Lord Ruler reigns supreme over a class system of noblemen and brutally oppressed ska. And when I say brutally oppressed, oh man, when you read the book, they're basically treated as slaves. You basically have the noblemen and then you have the slaves. And this review can be summed up with a simple question: what happens after you successfully overthrow the Dark Ruler in Chapter 1? Now, the first book in the Mistborn is called The Final Empire. This can be very much written down, basically much put up as the anti Ocean's 11. Book one is at its heart an impeccably plotted heist novel disguised as a revolution story. It reads like George R. Martin collaborated with a meticulous Swiss watchmaker. We follow Vin, a cynical street urchin, orphaned who knows how to survive. She possesses the power of allomancy or the ability to burn metals. Once she ingests a metal, she gains supernatural abilities, basically enhanced strength, emotional manipulation, heightened senses, etc. She's recruited by the charismatic and equally cynical Kelsier, a master thief with a messiah complex and an infectious grin. Their mission: infiltrate the highest levels of the Empire and tear it down from the inside. I see a few people have joined us. Again, I'm hoping this is going live from my scheduled live event. I'm not sure if it is. I'm fairly new to live streaming. If it's not, I do apologize. But yeah, we're just talking with the first two Mistborn books in the Mistborn series written by Brendan Sanderson. Now, the pacing of this book, it moves with a thrilling momentum, constantly pulling the rug out from under you. Sanderson introduces a rule, makes you believe it's the truth, and then reveals that there are three more secret rules. The magic system, which is called Allomancy, it's arguably one of the most mechanically satisfying magic systems ever written. It's less waving a magic wand, and it's more internal metabolic engineering. When it comes to a super chat, I mean, if you're able to, but I don't know if I've set those up yet. But if you want to give me a super chat, I definitely appreciate it. I probably put it to putting an actual webcam up on my gaming laptop because I'm doing this from my mobile phone. Because of my gaming laptop, I found out it doesn't have a webcam, so I got a 4K webcam on my wish list. Hi, Mariah Jane. Here's your shout out. I do appreciate you joining my live chat. Um, but I hope you are a book nerd just as much as I am. I'm just talking about the Mistborn series right now. But yeah, this magic system in this book, it's a tactile, intuitive, and visually stunning magic system. Yeah, no problem. I probably haven't set it up yet. I'm a fairly small channel, so I wasn't really expecting someone to be asking to send me a super chat, but very much appreciated the real Nate dog. I'll definitely look up on how to set that up. Um, I'm hoping that my channel is large enough to do that, but yeah, with the verdict of this last of this first book, it's a tight, clever, and endlessly entertaining setup that manages to conclude its main plot threads while simultaneously unleashing a horrifying world-ending cliffhanger that makes you immediately grab the sequel. Once I read this first book, I definitely I definitely wanted to read the second one immediately, and that's rare for me because usually once I read a book in a series, I like to take a break so I don't get exhausted. Don't say that, buddy. Like, what didn't I say? The method. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, I see. I'll just keep going on. But book two, if so, book two is kind of like The Hangover. So if book one is the exhilarating Ocean's 11 heist, book two is the painful morning after. When you realize stealing a kingdom is significantly easier than actually running one. And this book very much outlines that very well. And if you guys are watching, every now and then you'll see or might even hear my daughter. I have a 5 and 3 year old daughter. My 5 year old's at school, but my 3 year old's not. You might see her running around. You might see her talking. She's playing. But you even might see my wife walking around. I'm basically in the living room. I'm not exactly a wealthy man, so I kind of have a small place. But the Well of Ascension takes the fantasy genre's favorite trope, the chosen one, and sending the throne, and asks, once you get the throne, now what? And the protagonists are now in charge of a crumbling empire that's on the brink of civil war, and it's surrounded by enemies, running out of food, and desperately trying to figure out how a stable government actually works. And the book masterfully trades the kinetic energy and spy thrilling pacing of its predecessor for political tension, siege warfare, and high stakes paranoia. But so it's not really, it goes from like a spy kind of book to mostly political. But it does an excellent job at that as well. Once it does that, the book masterfully trade. So yeah, I'm just reading off my notes, and I went through that. But the pacing on this, the shift is this is where some of the readers feel the pace very much dips. But it's a necessary pivot, though. Sanderson trades action for a lot of depth. And the wit here is found in the frustrating reality of governance and the absolute incompetence of our heroes. And they're very much incompetent rulers at the very start. They haven't a clue what they're doing. Vin and the Now King. I'm not going to say what his name is just in case you guys haven't read the book. I don't want to put any spoilers out there. But Vin and the Now King mature immensely under pressure. They are forced to confront the moral ambiguity of power and leadership and constantly questioning if they're becoming the very tyrants that they seek to overthrow. And now, when it comes to my verdict, it's a complex, often anxiety inducing middle child that deepens the world building immensely. It's less flashy than the first book, but it provides a necessary intellectual heft. and it culminates an ending that drastically recontextualizes everything you thought you knew about the series mythology. Now, the summary on this is together the first two Mistborn books offer a complete experience, the thrill of the revolution and the messy reality of the aftermath. Um, they are very witty because they acknowledge and play with the genre's tropes while maintaining a deadly serious plot. That I very much, I did very much appreciated that, and Sanderson's trusts in his readers basically enough to keep up with his intricate world and complex rules, while rewarding that trust with a narrative that is both epic in scope and incredibly intimate in its focus on character struggles. So I very much suggest diving into these books. They're very much excellent, and I'm just going to go over the magic system with you guys on this. Mistborn's magic system focuses on stuff that's allomancy and fruchemy, and I don't really know if I pronounced the later one correctly. Fruchemy. I've never heard anyone talk about it, but they're refreshingly rigid, and they're almost scientific in structure, and manages to be both incredibly simple to grasp and surprisingly versatile in practice. The core strength is a robust, well-defined rule set. Instead of wobbly mana or innate power, you get metals with specific predictable effects. This isn't magic, it's more industrial era physics for superheroes. Allomancy is the burning of metals. This is your basically main event, and it's or an N positive system, fueled by seemingly endless external sources of power, or preservation's investiture, if we're getting nerdy. So the good with this is the combat scenes are very kinetic. They're pushing and pulling on metal objects to fly or redirect weaponry, creating thrilling, spatially aware action sequences that you can actually follow in your head, and which is a rare feat in fantasy, in my opinion. The specific powers, for example, tin for super senses, pewter for strength, are basically straightforward, and they're really easy to track. It's essentially fantasy physics 101. The characters aren't casting fireballs, they're calculating vectors and mass mid-air while trying not to run out of snacks or metal vials, if you were. It makes for great action, but sometimes you wish for a little more mystery rather than just running of the numbers on a fight. Now the other one, Furukami, it's basically storing attributes. This end neutral system is a strategic older cousin to Allomancy's flashy acrobatics. Fruchemists, mostly the Terrace Keepers, store their own attributes, strength, speed, even memories, and metal objects to use at a later time. The good with this is the versatility is immense. Fruchemists can be impossibly weak one moment to store strength, and then by tapping into their metal mind, become a temporary god of brawn and far exceeding the standards of any other allomancer, if only for a short time. They have to store for a very long time to even get a few minutes, like days, weeks, sometimes months. And it rewards planning and foresight. The idea of Sazid storing vast libraries of knowledge in tiny metal rings is brilliant world building, in my opinion. It's the ultimate fantasy bank account, basically. You make a deposit of misery, being exhausted, slow, or weak, to withdraw power when you actually need it. It's an interesting concept, but the first two books, it mainly serves as a backstory element for Sazid and the Khandra. But when it comes to my critique, basically, if you're a new reader of Brandon Sanderson, we'll make sure that you understand exactly how his magic system works. He'll explain it again in the next chapter, and in the next chapter after that. Well, this ensures clarity The sheer repetition of the mechanics can make one feel, well, like a goldfish being reminded of the same thing every 5 minutes. As one critique noted, hello Jasper the Weirdo. I love your username, that's awesome. Welcome to the live stream. I'm just talking about the first two books of the Mistborn series. I just reviewed the first two books, and I'm talking about the magic system. But where was I? But yeah, it makes you feel like like a goldfish every 5 minutes. And as one critique noted, the powers result in less hocus pocus and more metal ninjas. It basically it definitely reads like that. Ninja, like people drinking metal vials and using those metals to burn them and basically flying around the air fighting. It's very cool. This can occasionally strip away from the sense of wonder, though, making the powers feel more like a video game skill tree than a truly mystical force, particularly in one more politically focused Well of Ascension. So ultimately, the magic system in the first two Mistborn books is one of the best in modern fantasy due to its characters or due to its coherence in consistent application. It allows for clever tactical uses by the characters that feel earned rather than convenient plot devices. It may lack certain magical whimsy at times, but it more than makes up for it with sheer ingenuity and satisfying battle choreography. And when it comes to the bad guy, just gonna go over the Lord Ruler, the bad guy in the first book. Uh, so the Lord Ruler, a true management paradox wrapped in an enigma, lightly seasoned with horrific tyranny. Reviewing his role across the first two Mistborn books is like reviewing a multi-course meal where the appetizer is 1,000 years of brutal oppression and the main course is a giant universe-sized oops. So the man, the myth, and the millennia spanning monarch, and the first book, The Final Empire, the Lord Ruler is the ultimate big bad. He's the guy who decided that a little bit of ash and internally red sky and systemic slavery were essential for a stable society. He's an immortal emperor, a living god, and a man who cleverly never read how to win friends and influence people. His management style is best described as ruthless pragmatism, heavy on the ruthless. His greatest achievement in the Final Empire is his sheer unadulterated presence. Even when he's off the screen as per se, he's the boogeyman who actually exists, a perfect, seemingly unassailable target for the protagonist's grand heist. You spend the whole book thinking, wow, this guy is a monumental jerk. But credit where it's due, his empire is organized. He is an effective, if pointy, enforcement division with the Steel Inquisitors and a highly efficient, if entirely bleak, economic system. He is, in short, a fantastic villain, powerful, mysterious, and utterly deserving of a good overthrowing. And when it comes to the Steel Inquisitors, I absolutely love those creatures. Basically, they took kidnapped Allomancers and hammered these spikes through their eyes and shoulders, and it gave the Inquisitors more powerful magical abilities than your regular Allomancer would have. And they're basically if the Lord Ruler is the boogeyman running around, the Inquisitors are basically his henchmen that do his bidding, and they are wicked powerful. But the post-mortem power play of the Well of Ascension, uh, Book 2 happens, and Well of Ascension features the Lord Ruler primarily in his absence because he's been overthrown. And ironically, his meticulous planning. So he still plays a very much high level presence in Book 2. Once the heroes manage to clock out the Lord Ruler at the end of Book 1, the true review of his character begins. And I absolutely love this about the book. and other people have joined. We're just talking about the Mistborn series. I'm hoping this is playing on the scheduled live event I did on my channel. If it doesn't, I apologize. I'm very new to live streams, but yeah, I'm just talking about the bad guy in the first book. But yeah, it's and but the Lord Ruler, he the one thing I very much very appreciated about this book is once they killed the big bad guy, that's when everything started. Because most books you read, they kill the big bad guy and it's done. Happily ever after. Goodbye. Hope you enjoyed the story. But this is where this one starts. This answers the question, what now? What do you do after you kill the big bad guy? And it turns out that 1,000-year reign of terror, well, bad for morale, was actually holding some truly terrifying things at bay. The witty reveal is that the man everyone hated might have been a monster, but he was their monster. But the second book spends a lot of time poring over his diary entries, which are less about his feelings and more about apocalyptic warnings, and examining the sheer complexity of his global scale, highly flawed survival mechanism. His character arc bizarrely happens after his death. The narrative shifts from he's evil to he was evil, but for a potentially very good world ending reason. The Lord Ruler transitions from a simple tyrant to a complex, tragic figure who made some questionable choices in pursuit of the greater good. He's the dead ex-boss whose replacement immediately realizes the old guy actually knew what he was doing despite the whole slavery thing. So ultimately, the Lord Ruler in the first two books is a masterclass in world building and character subversion. He's the perfect hateable antagonist in book one, a god emperor with a flair for the dramatic and a disturbing lack of empathy. In book two, he becomes a looming shadow, the architect of a fragile system that immediately begins to crumble without his iron fist. You might not like him, but you have to admit he was effective. He is a fascinating character study in the ends of maybe justifying the means, though the books have you able to debate that in the ash-filled darkness in your own soul. He's a terrible human being, an incredibly well-written character, and basically bravo for Brandon Sanderson for writing an immortal tyrannical genius. Now, when it comes down to it, we will talk about the Colossus. They are basically giants. The Colossus and Brandon Sanderson's gift to anyone who thought the Final Empire was a little short on 12-foot blue-skinned, perpetually shedding rage-fueled monsters. Across the first two Mistborn books, they evolve from a distant, terrifying concept to a full-blown existential crisis for the New World Order. In book one, it's basically the scariest boogeyman you'd ever meet other than the Lord Emperor. In the Final Empire, the Colossus are less of a physical presence, and they are more the Lord Ruler's ultimate unspoken threat. The break glass in case of rebellion option he keeps locked away. But basically, they are the stuff of nightmares mentioned in hushed tones by Sazid and Kelsier's crew. They're savage, uncontrollable army of behemoths used for genocidal cleanup in far-off lands. And if anyone is just joining into my stream, I'm just talking about the Mistborn books, the first two books of the Mistborn series written by Brendan Sanderson, The Final Empire, and the Well of Ascension. The Colossus function as the ultimate because I said so of the Lord Ruler's reign. You think his Steel Inquisitors and Mistborn's elite are bad? Try his massive blunt force trauma specialist pets that only he can unleash. They perfectly raise the stakes without actually having to show up, and to proving that sometimes the idea of a monster is more effective than the monster itself. Hello, Nate. Welcome back. I'm just going over the Koloss, the giants of the book in Mistborn, the Final Empire, and the Well of Ascension. So that's basically it in book one. The idea of a monster can sometimes be more effective than the monster itself. But in book two, the Well of Ascension is where the Koloss they truly shine, or perhaps gloom is a better word, in their own messy skin tearing way, because they're explained that when they're young, they're about 5 to 6 feet. Their skin hang off them. They haven't grown into their skin yet, and when they're older, they're about 12 feet tall. And because they've overgrown their skin, their skin is ripped in all places. Like it'll be ripped on the mouth. Their skin will be ripped apart across the eyes, and you can see the underneath. And they explain it pretty cool. But yeah, it's a skin after the Lord Ruler's death. Their leash is off, and the chaos very much ensues. They become a central antagonistic force, a massive, uncoordinated army marching on Luthadel. We learn their grisly biology. They never stop growing. Their skin is too small, like I explained, and they thrive on anger and violence. They are essentially an army of perpetually grumpy, overgrown toddlers with enormous swords. The Koloss in this book, a economic subplot. They can be paid. Yeah, just as legal manages to wrangle a massive army by essentially offering them IOUs in the form of fake money. So they not only can they be paid, they can be very easily tricked because they're apparently mindless, bloodthirsty creatures. Then they need reason to sack a city that just isn't fun. They need a reason. Ultimately, the Koloss serve their grandest purpose as a brilliant, unexpected piece of the world's hidden mechanics. Vin's 11th hour realization that they can be controlled by a powerful emotional allomancer, though, using Drulamin, saves Luthadel in a spectacular action packed climax that ties back perfectly to the rules of the magic system. They go from unwieldy, plot complicated horde to Vin's personal, monstrous cavalry in the blink of an eye, solidifying their role as less mindless monsters and more misunderstood, very large mercenaries waiting for the right boss. Basically, what I'm talking about is the first two books in the Mistborn series written by Brendan Sanderson. Oh, happy birthday, Cielo. Hope you have a great day. But yeah, I'm talking about the first two books in the Mistborn series written by Brendan Sanderson. I personally believe that it should very much be a television series. I think it would go very well. But I was talking about the Koloss, which are basically giants in the book. When they're very young, they start out about 5 to 6 feet tall. Their skin hangs off them because they're not actually grown into their skin yet. And they never stop growing. So by the time they actually die, they're about 12 feet tall and they've grown out of their skin. Their skin is actually starting to tear at the seams. And it's a very bloody, the way they describe it is very bloody and gory. They're mindless monsters that just want to sack cities, but they don't want to do it just for fun. They actually need a reason, and they can be bought with fake money. But that's basically the gist of what I was going through. But yeah, that's basically what I wanted to talk to you guys about today was the first two books in the Mistborn series. If you haven't already, click like. I see you guys have started to comment. That's very much appreciated. It definitely helps my channel. I very much enjoy doing this. I might do book reviews live from now on. It's a heck of a lot better than pre-recording because I actually get to talk to you in person like that. I very much like doing that. I love it when you guys are commenting. It very much adds to my enjoyment of this. But yeah, if you haven't already, hit like, subscribe to the channel, keep commenting, and I will definitely catch you on the next one. Thank you very much for joining me. And